Hello everybody, it is Jackie from Pocket of Preschool, and tonight we're talking all about butcher paper activities you can do in your classroom using manipulatives that you already have on hand, like dominoes and counters and chains. I have these like people counters I'm going to show you some ideas for. I have, whoops, let me reach. Chains and some dinosaur counters, but all the activities I'm going to show you, you can use with any counters that you have in your classroom. So again, we're using things you already have, so you don't have to go out and get new things. Although if you want to go shopping, but hopefully we will help you out so you don't have to go buy all the things. You can just use what you already have. So what are butcher paper activities? So butcher paper activities are giant activities that you can do in the classroom with your kiddos that get kids up and moving around. They have to like reach and stretch, and they're little. So they're 3, 4, 5, or maybe you teach kinder or first. So the middle of the table for them, they have to reach and stretch to. It's also a giant game board or a giant activity. So they have to interact, they have to take turns, they have to share material. So they're using all of those very, very important social skills and developing and practicing all those social skills as they're doing this activity. We're working on all of those social skills, and they're gonna also have to like share materials and collaborate, which also means hopefully they're gonna verbalize their thinking. And if they're not verbalizing what they're thinking, they can point and they are modeling for each other. So again, even if the words are not coming out and they're not verbally telling each other what they're thinking, they are showing each other by, putting the manipulatives on the mat, and then they're also watching each other. Again, it's okay if they're not talking. We want them to talk, but sometimes kids get very busy and they have to do first before they can express their thinking. So it happens, right? All of it is all of it's important. The modeling, the interactions, the vocabulary, all of it. So all the things. And again, we're gonna use all the math manipulatives that you already have in your classroom. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So, and oral language, right? Because as they're talking to each other, they're developing all kinds of oral language and vocabulary. And tonight will be mostly math vocabulary. So I have this giant, and then also, if you don't have the giant pieces of paper that I have, you can always get this. Like you can get a roll of this is just like butcher paper from like Sam's or like Michael's, I think has it. Amazon, I have a whole butcher paper activity list or supplies in my Amazon storefront. And then I use these bingo daubers that have black ink in them. Again, it's on my Amazon storefront on the butcher paper activities, and all the really thick black lines. I use this, but if you don't have those, you can always just use markers. Both work just great. Okay, so this is a giant graph I made. So I actually use a yardstick when I'm making mine just because I'm a little type A, so I like everything to be all straight and perfect. But if you don't want it to be straight and perfect, that's okay too. I'm just gonna move those out of the way for us. I have little post-it notes for us. So this one you can literally do with any counter you have. So if you're doing a dinosaur theme, like you can make this and then use it over and over again for all your different themes. So you would literally put the dinosaurs out, or the people, or the insects, or the farm animals, or the transportation counters, whatever you have, you would put that out. Obviously not on the graph, but I'm gonna put it right here. And all they're gonna do is they are going to sort the counters and put it on the graph, right? As they're putting it on the graph, they're gonna be talking about, this one has more, this one has less, how many does it, and you can also engage in that conversation and ask them questions like, well, how do you know that the green is less than the blue? How can we figure that out? And then they will be counting to figure out which one is less and which one is more. And also, if you want the graph to be a little bit different, take a handful out and do like all different amounts. And then that way the graph will be really skewed. Or you can just have them graph too. That works too. But if you want, so you could do it this way. Just put the counters out with the graph. Now, if you want to add and make it a little bit more complex, you can add these color dice. So these are just, I get these from Amazon. Now, if you don't have to have these color dice, you can get like any cube block that you have in your classroom. Just color each side or put a dot sticker on each one. And so then what they'll do is they'll roll the dice, green, and they'll put one green on. And so each kid could have a dice, and they're gonna be rolling the dice, orange, and they will put that one on. So it'll take a little bit more time, and they're also gonna be sorting and identifying colors. These baskets are from Amazon, just in case you're wondering. I saw somebody ask a question about that. So you can use colored dice. If you want to make it even more challenging, and have them count even more, have them, and maybe just sorting by color, maybe that's too easy. Maybe you really want to work on them graphing, analyzing data, working on more or less, and then counting. So give everybody who's doing the activity a number dice. So they roll the dice, 1, and they put 1 out. Roll the dice, 2, 1, 2, and they put that many out. Now, you pick how your rules are, or you can have the students, you can just give it to the students and let them kind of determine their rules, which again will be lots of social skills because they're gonna have to negotiate and talk about the rules as they play. So some kids are just gonna grab like 2 of like different colors and put them on the graph. Maybe you want it to be where they grab the same color. It's totally up to you or the students. I usually just put it out and I let them kind of manipulate and make up their own rules as they go. Again, that's just how I do it, but you can do it how you want. You can make rules or you can have the students do it. But yeah, so again, 1 game, 3 different levels. So they can just put them out and sort them this way, right? You can add a color dice and they can roll the dice and put out that many with that color. Or you can add a number dice or a dot dice. You could also add the dice that has the numerals on it, so that way now they're recognizing, identifying numerals. 5, so then they have to identify the numeral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there you go. So again, this color graph, don't throw this one away because you're doing dinosaurs this week, or maybe last week. Then maybe you're doing now this week you're doing ocean. So you're gonna put out this same graph with either no dice, the color dice, or the dot dice. And now they're going to graph the ocean animals. And I do love these counters, one, because a lot of us have them already in our classroom, but it gets them talking about the theme you're gonna do. And I bet you a lot of your kiddos may not know all of these animals in here. Especially like the dinosaurs. You're gonna have your dinosaur expert and they will for sure fill you in on all the names. But some students may not know that this is a crab or that this is a whale, because most students probably have not seen a whale in real life. I know in St. Louis, we don't have whales here, just in the Mississippi River. So they're gonna be talking about the math vocabulary. They're gonna be talking about the vocabulary for whatever counter you have. They're gonna also say like, oh, octopus is my favorite animal. Again, they're gonna be sharing their personal experiences, and they're gonna be sharing their favorite things. And again, we're getting them talking, and you can see I'm even having to stretch like my arm all the way out. So if I'm having to stretch, you know they're gonna have to stretch. Also, one other thing about butcher paper activities, if you want, sometimes I stack my chairs for whatever table that the butcher paper activity is at. I will stack my chairs and I will put them to the side because I don't want students to sit down. I want them to be up and moving and going around. So that's another idea for you. So save this one and make sure you have it for all of your themes. Now, if you don't want to use these counters, you can, or your themed counters, you can also use something like chains, and then they can connect them. And then every time they put one out, I love chains because they're great fine motor and they have to connect them. You could also use something like cubes. And so my cubes have like browns in them, but they would put these out. Like if you were using cubes, cube does not match that one. So again, if they're using chains, you could have them put those out and then they would compare. Or if you're using cubes, they can compare and they can connect them as they go. So you don't have to use counters. but it gets them talking a lot more because they're gonna say all the things that they're interested in as they talk and use the counters. And it also gets them talking about the theme they're doing too. And again, and it's all the colors. So guess what else are all the colors? Probably the magnet letters you have in your classroom too, right? These are the letter beads that I use all the time. And you guys, it's okay that some of them are not on here. It's fine. The kids will just go, oh, that letter or that color isn't on the graph. And then they're gonna be talking about the letters as they build. Or maybe you can make, like if I was doing this, I would put out the magnet letters that I have because they're these 6 colors. But you could make a graph with more colors to match the letters you have, or just put it out and say, oh, these are the only colors we're graphing. So if you have a color that we don't have, just put it back in the basket and say, when you put your letter on the board, you have to say the letter name and the sound. And if you know a word that starts with that letter, say that too. So Brody, because they're gonna say their friends' names, right? Those are the most important words to them. So that's what they're gonna do. Turtle. And again, if they're 3, they're probably just gonna put that letter out. If they're 4 or they're pre-K, they should, we're gonna start to talk about the sounds, or maybe they're still working on just identifying letters. But what's great is when you're doing this collaborative activity, maybe I don't know my letters and sound, or I don't know all my letters yet, so I'm gonna be working on letter names. And then my friend next to me, she may know all of her letter names, and then so she may be saying all the sounds. Well, as she puts them on, I'm gonna hear her say those letter sounds. So again, they're gonna be modeling and teaching each other as they do this big, fun, collaborative project. So make your color graph and then save it so you can use it for all of your things. So another graph I made, this one, all my notes over here, all my Post-its. This one is numbered. Okay. So I have my numbers at the bottom, and again, you can have this on the floor too if you don't have room on the table. So these are numbers. So what you can put out with these are dominoes. So fun. So you put out your graph and then the dominoes, they would have to count them up and figure out how many there are. Oh, I have a whole bunch of 7s. And that's exactly what your students would say, right? They're gonna say, oh my gosh, we have 3 7s so far. And then I love dominoes because it's also in formal addition. So 5 and 2 make 7, 4 and 3 make 7, 6 and 1 make 7. So they're gonna be doing all of that as well. My dominoes goes up to 12, so you could go up to 12, or a lot of times I take out my dominoes that go past 10. But that's just me. You can do it how you want. Now, if you don't want to do dominoes, maybe that's too hard for your students, or you just want to work on them graphing, or you want to make your objective to make a graph and analyze it. So maybe we are going to go back and we're doing our dinosaur theme. So we are going to put that many in each spot. So we have 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then they would just keep going. 4. And you know what else is great about these big butcher paper activities? You make it once and the students clean it up, and then it's ready for the next friend. And they can see how they get bigger. Also, as they're using these little manipulatives, instead of doing lots of paper pencil, they are developing lots and lots of fine motor skills, because look, I have to use my little fingers and my pincer graphs to grab them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they can count. Also, they're gonna see them get bigger or smaller. You can put the numbers in order. You can put them out of order. It's totally up to you. But this graph, you can do a couple different ones. You can use the counters, and they can count out that many and put that many in. And again, use whatever counter you have. Maybe you're doing ocean, maybe you're doing people for back to school, or a family theme. And again, you can also use dominoes. And then, of course, you know what else I'm gonna say? My students love chains. You can also do chains. So they would connect that. We're just gonna pretend like I connected those. So that would be 3. Oh, look, that one's already together. And they would, so it's so much fun, but look. See how I have to push the chains together? And then you also, I always had the rule where my students had to take them apart before they put them back in the basket, so that way they wouldn't pull them out like I am right now, and everything is together. So I would say, Oh, if you have them together in the basket, make sure when you're cleaning up, we want to, oh, I said that backwards. When you're cleaning up, make sure you take them apart to put them back in the basket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. And can you guys see that? Oh, let me move it back a little bit. There we go. So you can see how it gets bigger going across, and it's so much fun. My students love chains so much. And again, tell them they have to take them apart as they put them back in because it's great fine motor, and it won't be already like done for the next person, right? So we have our number graph. And again, you can have them in order or not in order. Totally up to you. Also, you could also put math facts at the bottom. So instead of having 7, you could do like 3 plus 4 and just make your graph small. So you could also have like 2 graphs that they could work on. So this, you would, instead of the numbers, you would have math facts on here. So it would be like 4 plus 10, or 4 plus 3, 7 plus 2. And you can have random math facts. If you're working on a fact family, you can do that. But yeah, you don't always have to use like the whole paper. You could cut it in half and do different ones. And then you know what would be really fun? You could also, if you're doing math facts, I just thought about this. They could use their chains. And if you're doing 5, they could figure out different ways to make 5. So I'm going to do 2 and 3. You could also do 4 and 1. So you could also, if you don't want to do addition facts in the bottom, they could use the chains and they can make different combinations of numbers to make that number down here. All right. So there's that. Now, I know it's springtime right now, so I know a lot of people are counting up to bigger numbers. So this one is a 100. So I know a lot of people do stuff for 100 days, but just because we do it for that week or the 100th day of school doesn't mean we should stop counting to 100, right? So make this butcher paper activity, and then you can keep it and use it over and over again. So I just have 100 in the middle, and then I have different circles, and I have 10 in each one. So what you can do is put out your number change or whatever your student's favorite manipulative is, and they can put that many in each one and to make 100. So they would have to do 10 tens, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just gonna pretend like this is 10. I think it is. So we have 10 and 10 and 10, and then they're adding all of these up to make 10. And they would just put 10 in each one. And again, use whatever manipulative your students love. You can use chains. You can use counters. If you have, I know some of my counters have 100 in them, some of them don't. So like there's probably 100 of these ocean animals. So you could put out your ocean animals and they can make 100 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops. 10. So you can put out the counters, you can put out chains, put out whatever you want, and they can make 100. And again, save this butcher paper activity because you can do it again for another theme. It's a big collaborative group project. Okay, so we got that one. Now you can also do smaller. So what I did on this one was I drew little houses, or they could be rockets, I guess. They kind of look like rockets or houses. So, and I did different colors. So I have these people counters. I love using these around back to school time or like a family theme. And they're just gonna sort by color, right? So they're sorting by color, they're talking, and they're talking about their family, and they're using their fine motor muscles, and they're stretching and reaching to make all of these little sorts. And again, you can also put out the color dice so they can sort and do one at a time, which is also really great for working on that one-to-one correspondence. You could also put out a number dice, totally up to you. Okay, now you can do this for any manipulative you have, right? So we made houses for the people. If you have bears, you could make little colored caves. If you have insects, you could do different colored leaves. If you have dinosaurs, you could do different colored volcanoes. So basically, this works for any counter that you have. You can do a color sort with it. Now, something else you could do with these is make a, which I'll show you on the next one. Oh, and then for ocean, you could do some beaches, or you could do like a big wave for your different colors. Okay, so we have color sorting. Now, you can also do it with numbers, right? So I have all of these volcanoes, and you guys, I'm not the best artist, so don't not do these because you think you can't draw, because I can't draw very well either, but the kids don't know, they don't care. They just are excited, and they're working collaboratively, and they're having a ton of fun learning, doing a lot of hands-on things or activities. So don't let your drawing skills stop you from making these really cool activities. So we have our little volcanoes, right? And I have my dinosaurs, and all I did was I wrote numbers on them. So they're just gonna put that many in each volcano. So I have 2, I think you can see that. And then this one's 3. And that's all they're gonna do. They're gonna identify the number and put that many dinosaurs in each volcano, okay? Or if you don't wanna do numbers, you could do math facts. So you could do like 3 + 2, 4 + 1, 6 + 5, whatever it is you guys are working on. And then instead of having the numbers, you guys can work on, your students can work on addition. Again, you do it at the level that your students need. So if you have 3-year-olds, maybe you're gonna do color volcanoes because you're working on sorting by color. If you have, the next level up would be doing volcanoes with numbers. And maybe you're only gonna do numbers up 1 to 6. Maybe that's it. You're just gonna do numbers 1 to 6. Maybe you're gonna do numbers 1 to 10. Maybe you're gonna do numbers 1 to 15. Maybe you're gonna do math facts in them. You know, you could do 1 fact family or a bunch. Again, totally up to you. So we have our dinosaurs. Now, you can also do this with dominoes. So this one would be 10. And then this one is 1. And then this one is 7, which is probably under here. Yep, of course it is. Right? Again, so many different ways to play this game. You could do this on Monday. You could have the dinosaurs out with the volcanoes. Then the next day on Tuesday, use the same addition math. So the first, on Monday, you can do this activity out. We have the numbers and the volcanoes with the counters. The next day, they come in, Tuesday, you can have your volcanoes out with dominoes, and they can be doing informal addition. I've always picked 7 tonight, right, guys? I should, 7. And then this one's 11. So, again, so much fun and hands-on, and again, just a blast. You could also do chains, so that way they have to put that many in. We'll just pretend like this is 7. So they put 7, and they put 7 in the volcano. If your students love chains, then find activities so they can use their favorite manipulative. Okay. So, you can do volcanoes for dinosaurs. If you're doing people, you have the people counters, you can do houses. If you have the ocean counters, do like little like waves. If you have bug counters, you can do leaves. If you have, what are some other counters? If you have the fruit counters, do little like, you could do like a little tree or bush. And then you could also do like a little like basket or like shopping bag, like they're going grocery shopping. What are some other counters I have? I can't remember. If you have the space counters, I saw those. Those look really, really fun. You could do like little rockets. Again, do colors, do numbers 1 to 6, numbers 1 to 10, numbers 1 to 15, or do math facts. And it would be so, so much fun. Again, I want you guys to use stuff you guys already have in your classroom, because teaching is hard enough. And I know you guys buy so many things for your classroom, but let's start using the things we already have so you guys can keep your money for you. And I know you're gonna buy stuff for yourself anyways, but let's use what you got too, right? Okay, so now we're gonna do a little shift. Okay, we're gonna shift. We're gonna do shapes. I made a big shape graph. So I know a lot of us have shape counters, right? Hold on, I gotta reach to get these. My shape counters I love to use are these shape buttons. Again, these baskets are from Amazon. My shape buttons are from Amazon. I have a pack that has the large buttons and like the regular buttons. Again, all of it's linked on my Amazon storefront, but you can use these shape buttons for so many different things. And I'm gonna show you how to make it for different themes too. So you can put your basket of shapes out. And then I just drew my shapes across the bottom. Pick the shapes that you have in your shape buttons or pick the ones that you want to do. So these are the ones I have. I know my buttons have like heart and star, but I didn't put those out for this activity. So I just want them sorting like their basic shapes. So we're just gonna sort. And again, they're gonna be sorting and talking. And then maybe this friend puts that one there and they're gonna go, no, no, no. Don't do that. That's a square. You put it in the triangle spot and they're gonna be checking each other's work. They're gonna be talking about shapes. They're gonna be using that vocabulary. Now you could also, if you don't wanna do the shapes, you could sort these shape buttons by color. So just use the color graph at the bottom and then they could sort the shapes by colors. Pretend like there's colors at the bottom, right? They could sort the shapes by colors. You can sort the shapes by shape. Okay, and they're just gonna sort and they're gonna be talking about shapes and they're gonna be having a blast and they're gonna be using their fine motor muscles because they have to pick them up and put them on the graph. And then again, let's say the graph gets full, the button basket's empty. To clean up, all they have to do is take the buttons off and now it's ready for the next friend. And again, you can do these on the floor in your math center. You can do them for table time. You can do butcher paper activities so many times during the day. Now, you have your color dice. Why not use that, right? So purple. I have a purple, and then I'm gonna put it on there. And then blue, I have a blue shape, and I'm gonna put it on there. Now, you can say, like, tell me the name of the shape. Because sometimes they're just gonna do what I did. Oh, here's a blue shape, I'm gonna put it on there. So make sure you say the color and then tell me the name of the shape you found. Purple, I have a purple square. Roll the dice. Orange, I have an orange square. Oh my gosh, look, I have more oranges than any other shape. Again, they're gonna be talking about more and less just because kids naturally compare and a lot of kids like to put things in rows, so this is perfect for them. All right, if you don't wanna use the color dice, you know what I'm gonna say. You can also use a shape dice, or not a shape dice, a number dice. So they roll 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 shapes. I have a rectangle, an oval, a square, and a triangle. And then they roll again. Now, if you don't want to have a dice, because maybe that's way overwhelming, that would be too much for your students. Again, you know your students. So you can make shape dice. I think they have them for sale. So this one I made, like you can tell it's shiny. It was just a cue block I had in the classroom. I took some like big stickers I had and I cut them to make all the different shapes. Okay, so you can make your own shape dice. So they roll the dice, oval. I have an oval, and then they put it on. And then they roll it again. Circle. I have a circle, and then they put it on. Again. Use any dice. And if you don't have color dice or shape dice, make them like I did. Like you can tell it's so very taped. And I made these forever ago, like 10 years ago I made these and I still have them and they're awesome and the kids love them. So that's one thing you can do with your shape buttons, right? Okay, we have our shapes. Oh, I also wanted to tell you, you can also do this if you're doing 3D shapes, okay? Because I know a lot of my kinder teachers do 3D shapes. Now, if you can't draw shapes, these are just some 3D shape manipulatives I have. If you can't draw the shapes, or you think you can't, which you probably can, it'll be okay. Take whatever flashcard you have and put the flashcards in your graph. Make the graph once, and you guys reuse that graph all the time. And just, you can tape the flashcards on there. These 3D shape flashcards are from my 3D shapes unit. Okay, so tape these on there. You can also literally take the manipulative and tape it on there. You don't even have to, you can have a blank graph and you can put it on there. But now, use whatever flashcard you have. And then my spheres are gonna roll away on me. But then you can sort your 3D shapes by shape. Oh, I don't have that one up. This is a rectangular prism. It's in here. It's in my shape cards. But you would have the shapes. You want to put the shape cards out to match what you have. Okay, this is the pyramid. I'm going to put that one out. Okay, these I just have on Amazon cone. So I would need, this one I would not have out. So I need, where's my cone? There it is. I found it. So just have that one out. And again, you can just tape them on there. You can set them on there. And then they're going to be sorting and talking about shapes and having so much fun. Now, let's say they sorted all of these, right? Say, okay, we're going to go on a shape walk around the classroom. And I want you to go find a shape and then put it on. So, or maybe you don't have a lot of these 3D shape manipulatives. It's fine. Have your students go on a shape walk, which I already did. Lucky you. I already went on my shape walk. We're going to pretend this one's over there. And they're going to walk around your classroom and they're going to find all, okay, I found apparently mostly cylinders, but it's fine. They're going to go around and they're going to find all of these shapes in your classroom. And if you don't, so if you don't have the manipulatives, it's fine. Go on a shape walk, they find the shape, and then they can graph it. So much fun. And it's hands-on. And again, we're getting them up and moving. Okay. Now, if you move all these out of the way. Okay. So let's say, I'm gonna put these over here. You can also, oh, I forgot to tell you, you can also do the shape walk with your 2D shapes. You can say, okay, guys, I want you to walk around the classroom and I want you to find all of these different shapes. And they're gonna walk around and they're gonna find all of the different shapes that you have in your classroom. And you guys, I'm literally just grabbing from over here. Like I'm just grabbing from my art center. Okay, so they're gonna walk around and they're gonna grab all the things, and now you have a big giant 3D shape sort or 2D shape sort, or you can do 3D shape sort with the things you have in your classroom, and they're up and they're moving, they're talking about shapes, and they are just having so much fun. Okay. Okay. So you can also just draw. So this one we actually used when we did, when I did Valentine's Day. I saved it, and we made all of these shapes with like the candy hearts. But I saved it, and so you know what we can do? You can do your shape sort on here by just drawing the shapes. So they're just going to sort the shape buttons by shape. Super, super fun, super simple. Again, this didn't have a theme on it. I just did it on purple paper and I used the candy hearts. So now I'm sorting all of the, having my students sort all of these shapes by shape. And again, if you have hearts in your shape buttons, which I do, they can put those in there and then you'll have the hearts, which I don't think you can see those, but it's over there. So draw the shapes you have. Now, if your students are struggling with some shapes, just get those out and have them sort maybe just 3 shapes. Or you can have them sort all of them. Again, totally up to you. Another thing you can do, like I said, I had used this purple shape butcher paper activity for when it was Valentine's Day and we made them with candy hearts. You can also make shapes with chains. So they can use chains and they will link them together and make all of the different sides, or maybe the curved shapes. They can make those too. Again, use what we already have in our classroom. You don't have to go out and buy new stuff. You just gotta kind of think outside the box sometimes, right? And look at all this great fine motor they're gonna be doing and hand-eye coordination as they're putting together these chains to make the shape. And also, if you've noticed, I'm kind of measuring too. So they're also gonna be measuring to see if they need more chains or less chains to compare the chains with the shapes. Again, I already used this once back in February for Valentine's Day with candy hearts. You can use it anytime during the year with these chains. So fun. Okay. Now, you can also use your shape buttons for different themes. So this, I know my drawing skills are amazing, you guys, so I'm gonna tell you what it is in case you didn't know. These are fences for a farm theme. So I have some tractors out, and I'm gonna have my shape buttons out, okay? And I'm gonna have them out for a couple reasons. One, they can drive the tractor, and they can trace the shape, okay? And then they can also sort the shape buttons and put them in the fence, because we're at the farm, and that's what you do at the farm. You sort and you put the animals in all the fences in all the different places so they don't run away, right? So you could do this again for what? You could do this for transportation. You could draw these, get a blue piece of paper and make them white, or draw on there with white, like a white paint stick or a white paint, and just have to let it dry. But and then use like airplanes, and they can drive in the clouds. You can do this for like transport, like if you're doing like road or transportation, and have this be green or white, and then you can draw little roads and use your transportation counters, or you can use little cars and they can drive, and then you can put out the shape buttons and they can put those shapes inside of the different roads. You could do boats, just have it blue, and then draw different shapes in the water, and they can drive the boat in the water, and then they can put the shape buttons inside all the different wave shapes. Again, there are endless options you can do. Sometimes you just gotta think outside the box. And you can also, again, you don't have to have them draw or like trace with this. If you think that's gonna be too much, just leave them on there. Just use them for decoration, or you can put some animals out. And then they could also use this color dice, and they can sort by shape that way. Again, it's totally up to you. They can use the shape dice, roll square. They have to find the square, and then they have to put it in the square. Again, you pick how you want to do it. You know your students best, so do what will work for them and do what will work for your classroom. And you can also do this with your 3D shapes. The tractors can just be on there for decoration, because it would be very hard to draw a 3D shape, but draw your different 3D shapes and then put little lines on them, or make them into like little roads for whatever you want to do. And then they can sort these, obviously this isn't it, but they could sort these 3D shapes into your 3D shape sort. So I hope you guys loved all of those activities. Eventually these will be up on the blog. Once they're on the blog, you will find the link below. So yeah, so I hope you guys got some really fun ideas that you can use in your classroom. And again, using the things that we already have, using chains and dominoes and all the different counters we have, right? And using all of the dice, all the things. So, get my little note out of there. So, I hope you guys loved all these ideas. On the YouTube channel, there are even more butcher paper activities. So yeah, so if you want to watch more butcher paper activities, hop over there, and eventually they will be on the blog. If they're not on there yet, you can always go up to the blog and search butcher paper, and if we have them finished, they will be there. If they're not finished yet, they will not. But the YouTube, there are some butcher paper YouTube videos up. So I hope you guys have an amazing night, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon.